I'll call the March 20th meeting of the Davenport Housing Commission together. Do a roll call first. Joyce?
Here.
Gary?
Yes.
Yolanda?
Present.
And Matt, I'm here, so we have a quorum. Our first order of business are the minutes from the February meeting. Ask if anyone has any questions or corrections that are in here.
I don't.
Okay. No one else does, I'll ask for a motion to approve those.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Great. It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from the February meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Now we'll go on to the financial reports. I saw that saw an email that Joyce had some questions, which is always good. She's better at that stuff than I am, I'll admit. Why don't you go ahead, Joyce, and ask those?
All right, so we want to basically, I was wondering, like, year-to-date is your monthly or your running balance of what expenditures are. Why are the year-to-date figures from month to month, why are they so different? I'm basically talking about, the first one is for public housing, the year-to-date between January's report and February's report. There's $20,000 difference on that for the payroll and employees' benefits. We're showing January is $46,554, and February's year-to-date is $26,000. So, and we've got a big difference then in the balance between the 2 months.
I'll try to take that one if you want. So you remember we sold public housing.
Mm-hmm.
So, and usually where payroll and some things kind of lag behind a little bit. So the reason January is that much higher was likely we're closing out the last vestiges of staff time. And so there wasn't a ton of staff time at all in February. So, and I would guess, we haven't seen March yet, but when we get to March, my guess is it drops to zero or almost nothing. So that's why.
Okay, well, the balance for January shows $3,445, and the balance for February is over $23,000.
I don't think I'm looking at the same spreadsheet you are. In January, it was 3,300. In February, it's 3,000. Am I looking at the right column? So it was still more in January than it was in February. It's just trailing off.
Look at the balance.
Oh, I see. You're talking balance. Yeah, I don't know. That might just be a math
I mean,
thing.
that's
think-
I can
yeah.
take a look into that. We can definitely look into that.
I mean, that's $20,000 difference, whereas the year-to-date is about $20,000 off. So I'm
Yeah.
like,
That's just got to be a spreadsheet
Yeah,
math error.
I can definitely take a look into that.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so then. Try to keep all this straight here. I think that's basically for public housing. That is the biggest question that I had on that one for public housing. So we want to go to section 8 then. I was asking before, it looked like maybe the lines were off, but I think that was kind of answered my question on it. But then I was also still wondering, because like for section 8 for payroll and employee benefits, Year-to-date was 317,000, balance is 57,000 for January. February, okay, it's still 37,000 for February, but balance shows nothing.
Again, I can take a look into that and report back to you.
Okay?
All right?
I might just interject, and I mean, the short answer is we can take a look at all these, so, but, yeah, there's something going on with the column lining up over there with that last column of balance. So that's on our end. We should be able to figure out if that's coming out of finance or how we can make sure that the columns line up right. But my guess is, doing the quick math across, is it's probably that 374,000 in the budget minus the February 37,000 line item for this is all on the payroll line. And you carry that across to the 182 in year to date, and it's probably the 192,671 figure in the balance.
That's kind of what I was looking
And
at.
it's just that the lines don't match up like you were saying before. So it's probably just, that's hard to read. So we'll see if we can get that squared away for next time.
Okay. I think that pretty much does it for my questions then.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions or corrections? If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the financial reports.
Make a motion to approve the financial reports.
Second.
Great. Been moved and seconded to approve the financial reports for February. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, those pass. Now we have the occupancy report. Which looks like it's pretty steady, so.
I don't have any questions. I make a motion to move the occupancy reports.
Great. Been moved and seconded to approve the occupancy report for February. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Now on to our consideration item. I'm assuming that's what we tabled last month, that resolution.
You all seem to have some questions for legal.
Yes.
I'm Mallory Bagby, Assistant City Attorney. Nice to meet you all. If you have questions specifically, I can address those. Or at least attempt to. It seemed part of your concern was the timing of the closeout activities and whether your body should have approved it previously, but the timing of it of your approval has to come after all the closeout activities. It couldn't have been done prior. So after you and the city agreed to sell the public housing units, then closeout activities have to happen. All the sales have to happen, grants have to be wrapped up, everything has to be moved over either through expenditures or putting it into Section 8 funding, and then we certify to HUD that everything has been done in accordance with their plans and policies. So that's what we'd be doing with the resolution that was on the agenda last month.
Well, at least my opinion, we didn't have anything to do with it. That was a council decision, and we were asked to go along with that. So there was nothing we could do to stop it. I spoke out against it at a council meeting, or not necessarily against it, but just wanted them to keep in mind the idea of affordable housing. I think we're doing plenty for people who are of means in this community, and we're doing poorly for those without. And I still say that as a citizen, I'm speaking. I'm not speaking for the commission. I still think that we got a long ways to go. And I haven't seen all the pieces. I know local Channel 6 is, I've had people telling me about it, and I've been meaning to look those up. Been doing a thing about the bad conditions for housing here in Davenport. Affordable housing, I should say. But that's another thing. I'm trying to remember, I'm not looking at that resolution, but what our other questions were. Joyce, did, yeah, maybe let it refresh my memory. at
Commissioner
least
Rising, if I could,
from
I
what- I know.
I think
Yolanda-
you had questions regarding the board accountability in the event that we closed public housing, if the board or the Housing Commission could be found responsible for any adverse actions,
Right,
legal adverse actions related to public housing.
right.
So as long as you act within the scope of your duties, you would not be personally responsible for defending yourself. We can't prevent someone from naming you in a lawsuit. But if you're acting within the scope of your duties by voting, we would defend you. I haven't had anybody else, and I've only been here about 5.5 years. Nobody else is on a board has been individually named. We've had a couple of boards named as a whole body, but not any individual members. But if you were to be named individually, the city would defend you.
Well, as you know, as an attorney, you can't be too careful with
Sure, sure.
with litigation out there. So that was just something that happened to pop into my mind when we were looking through that, and last month, that was one.
We have a lot of board members who have that same question. It's a valid concern for yourself and your own
Oh, and
personal protection,
And
definitely.
I'm on some volunteer committees in the community, and we have to buy insurance to cover ourselves, but,
We have insurance.
yeah.
I think too, if I might, I think Commissioner Miller had asked a question, and I wasn't at your most recent board meeting, but I think maybe a week or two ago, Commissioner Miller had asked some good questions about reading through some of the I guess HUD notice about this closeout procedure, and so one of the ones I know that stuck out to me, and Commissioner, I don't know if you're okay with that, I'll just kind of paraphrase anyway what I remember you had asked, so what if everything gets closed out and then there's some draw, that we forgot, or some expense that pops up that was public housing related, then what? How do we deal with that? And I had drafted a response back for, in general, it could happen. For the most part, our finance staff and Malia's staff have gone through we've sold those units back. The last unit was occupied back at the end of November by public housing. They've converted over to our other program, which is Housing Choice Voucher Section 8. But a period of time has now already passed where if there was something that was still out there, we would have caught it by now. And then on top of it, the other question that came up, and this why it's good that Mallory's here from the legal standpoint, the thing that I think maybe you asked and it came up in our staff mind as well, what if there's, I don't know what the situation would be, I guess someone who is maybe moving out and didn't get their full deposit back, and they moved out maybe a couple of years ago, and they wanted to sue us because they didn't get their full deposit or something like that, and let's say it goes through a legal process, and chances are we'd be fine, but on the off chance that they were owed a couple of $100, that usually goes through our risk fund as a city organization, and so even if we had closed out the program here this spring, we wouldn't have probably been able to approach HUD to draw that $200 payment from them anyway. So I think in general, what we were trying to say, what I was trying to say to your email, Commissioner Miller, was it's not a huge risk, and you know, good questions to ask is you should kind of do your homework on should we or should we not close out at this time. But I think you can trust in this case, our staff has gone through it with both finance and legal staff on can we check all the boxes? Is there much out there that we're missing? And we're coming to the conclusion it's time. I think we're there. So that's hopefully what I was trying to address with some of your questions. But if there were other ones I didn't address, just give us. We're here today in case you got them. So.
Right, the recourse would still be there for any aggrieved individuals, whether the process has been closed out or not. The city will still exist. They can still sue us if they choose to.
So then as far as, like you said, if we would vote to go ahead and okay this, then everything as far as you know is closed out, should be, at least paperwork-wise and everything else, everything should be all copacetic then.
Everything is copacetic right
Is
now.
done.
It's all done. Right now, we just need to have the approval, right? And there really is not a rush for you. That's why it's not on the agenda to vote today. We want to discuss it and give you some more time to think about it too.
If I may, that's what I think it just reminded me of, that was another question I think Commissioner Miller had asked, and Malia and I had talked through, what's the downside if you don't? You know, do you want to pause? It's not huge, and what I was trying to address for Commissioner Miller, the biggest thing I think we found is, I don't know that I know it's at least annually, if not maybe more often, there are some prompts that because we're still part of the program at HUD, that they ask us for information. So then we need to fill out some forms, have different officials sign, in some cases our city administrator sign. It's not a ton of work, and we end up just putting zeros down because the program isn't operating. So it's not a huge, risk, but again, talking through it with all of our other staff from other departments too, at some point, I think you're going to want to do it, and sooner rather than later. I don't think you want to wait years and years to do it. So, but to your point, it's not at all a rush. We can bring it back next month if we answer questions today, and between now and then, we can bring it back in a couple of months, whatever. But at some point, I think in this calendar year, we'd like to kind of roll it up so that we can say, okay, HUD, we've closed out everything. We're calling it.
My only concern was, get everything lined up together, because sometimes something could fall through the cracks and kind of throw things off. I just want to make sure that everything was square, was good to go.
I have no further questions. Malia answered them the last meeting that we had, except for the one that Attorney Mallard answered. So personally, I have no further questions.
My biggest still concern on this is with the questions I had in regards to February's balances, the difference in the figures and that, where I would feel better just holding off at least for another month or two until we can get these figures closer together and they make, to me, a little bit more sense. I don't know how everybody else feels about it, but
Isn't that something different?
I don't know if you want me to answer that one. I can, or do you want to? Okay. I mean, in general, I think the fact that in February we had some draws that we, I think, paid out and processed through before you would have approved the resolution at the end of the month solves that. But it's not a bad idea, Commissioner Miller. I mean, at least from our end, the soonest we could put this back in front of you would be at the end of April, right, basically. If we see something that popped up here in our March budget, when we do our March report, we may, if you like, maybe we could leave it that way. We could choose to even punt for one more month and wait until, say, May to do any final draws. But in general, it isn't big money that we're talking. And so I think, to your point, you're doing the right thing, which is making sure we've paid everything out or that we've drawn everything we need to from HUD. But finance staff is telling us we're at that point, so.
'Cause aren't these kind of the figures then that are going to HUD?
No, none of this
None
gets
of this?
reported to HUD. This is after the fact reporting, so generally the numbers you see here, we are in March, is showing you a little bit of payout that happened in February. I'm guessing that was probably in one of the first weeks of February, because that's not a ton of staff costs. So that means that we would have paid out that money. We generally draw it after the fact from HUD. So it is possible that we were drawing something from HUD in February. So that's why I know we didn't want to put that in front of you too much before the month that you saw it. But it's possible that something could pop up that, finance staff will find here in the next, in the March report. Why don't we just take a look at what we see in March? And if everything's zeroed out, we'll put something on the agenda for you in April. If it's not zeroed out, we'll wait another month, and we might just keep kind of rolling on that path, unless you had any more substantive questions with closing it out, if it's just to make sure that the money's.
I have a question. Are you saying that you send different numbers to HUD than you report to us?
No, sorry if that comes out that way. None of these reports are required to be sent to HUD. HUD doesn't ask for monthly reporting from the city. All we do with HUD is we submit them a request to draw down, I don't know, the last 6 months worth of funding, and they pay it out. They don't pay us monthly checks usually. It's kind of a weird system with public housing. It's very haphazard, and so we package up the expenses for rents, we package up the expenses for staff costs and any other expenses, and then they pay us really just a portion of our staff hours. They don't even see what the actual wages are. They just have if you spend X amount of time administering public housing, then we reimburse you at a prescribed dollar amount rate, and it's something like 26. I don't know, I forget what the reimbursement rate is, but it's all just math basically with HUD. They don't look for any monthly reports that the commission reviews. We just do that as a local internal process for our own record keeping.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to get the sense, I think Joyce would certainly feel more comfortable waiting for another month to do that. So I'll move that we table this resolution for another month until we can get some more definitive answers on those February reports. Does that sound okay, Joyce? Okay, all those in favor of tabling this for another month, say aye.
It's actually not even on your agenda.
Oh, we don't?
Nope, don't need to vote. This was just a discussion. Please don't vote.
Okay. Just trying to dot my
Thank you.
i's and cross my
I
t's.
should have caught on to that a little earlier, but once you called for the vote, I realized it's not there.
Okay, well, thank you. I figured it's better to vote than not, so. Okay, well, thanks for that advice there.
Thank you.
Thanks for answering our question.
Yes, thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Yes, thanks for coming downstairs. Any other items here? I see we have somebody in the audience. Did you have any questions or comments for the commission?
No, just here to observe, meet everyone. My name's AJ. I'm a local developer. So wanted to just show my face and get to know the housing committee a little bit.
A housing developer you are?
Yeah. So I buy and sell properties in the area.
A flipper?
What's that?
A flipper?
Yeah, a little bit. And then I've got some properties just as well.
Are you a good landlord?
I pride myself on it. Yeah.
Are you from here?
I am. Yeah. So I was born and raised in the Quad Cities. I actually lived in Seattle for a few years and then came back here after that.
Do you own your own company?
I do. Yeah.
What's it called?
Yeah, it's called Goldsmith Properties. So, I'm actually really interested. You had mentioned a bit earlier. I'm not sure, what was your name?
Matt
Matt?
Wissing.
Nice to meet you. You had mentioned a bit earlier
Okay, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have anything? Otherwise, it looks like the third Monday. Oh, I'm sorry.
How are you advertising?
Quick question or point, you may want to have, I think our mic is live there. Sometimes when they're recording these things, it's nice to have public with business up at the podium too. So if you want, we can, yeah. Make sure that
I forgot.
Commissioner Roberts, could you turn your microphone on too? Push the talk button. You can get all formal.
Did you understand my question?
I didn't hear it, sorry.
I said, how are you advertising?
Yeah, it's a lot on Facebook Marketplace. Otherwise, I have a property management company that does a lot of the work for me. So they do a lot of stuff on, I think, Zillow. They've got some stuff on Hot Pads. I also reached out to some folks at, I forgot exactly what it was called, but they work with the Section 8 housing vouchers. So I reached out to them to try to see if they had anyone that was available or interested in 1 bedroom, 1 bath apartments. They didn't really have anyone that was interested, so we just had to move on to market rents.
Are you signed up with the city? Have you registered with, because they can put you in their directory for,
I believe so. I'll have to double check though.
okay. Yeah, Malia's the one that,
Yeah.
Where are your housing units located?
Yeah, so I've got about 12 units right now. I've got a fourplex on 14th Street. I have another fourplex on Mississippi Avenue. And then I have a third fourplex off of Farnham Street.
Okay.
we're in Mississippi.
Farther north, so it's kind of by the Dahlford.
Pull it that way.
Mhm, kind of near the new, I think is it Hawkeye? What is that new apartment complex? They just renovated one that's up there. It's really nice.
I live by the lower part of Mississippi.
Oh, gotcha.
So that's the only reason I asked.
Yeah.
Hey, AJ, we can touch base after the meeting. I'm the housing programs manager, just to make sure we have your up-to-date information, that we're getting your units marketed.
Yeah,
So I'd love to touch base with you after the meeting.
sounds good.
All right.
Awesome.
I have no further questions. So it was nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
My name is Yolanda.
Yolanda, nice to meet you.
Okay, well, as I said, 17th of April is our next meeting. I don't think it's a holiday. Next day is tax day. So, anyway, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you.